Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. I'm your host, Juliette Clark, and I'm super excited today to have the guy that I use for book development. I try to send clients to him all the time because we get absolutely the best books from him. And I have to thank my client, Carrie Cassell and Samantha Kua, for those introductions to him because he truly does a great job. And by the way, you guys all missed it before. His editor and the editor that I use, Tyler Tischler, is on here today too. So really great team there for getting your book out. So Patrick Snow is an international best-selling author, a professional keynote speaker, publishing, speaking, and book marketing coach. He first discovered his gift for speaking at age 17 while giving the pregame speeches to his high school football team. Since then, Patrick has electrified more than 3,500 audiences on 4 continents to achieve their individual and organizational destinies. As a publishing coach, he's mentored more than 1,200 clients throughout the world to successfully publish their books. Many of these clients have gone on to become speakers, coaches, and consultants as well. If you guys know anything about his packages, that's actually part of it. While the book is being edited, he coaches you on how to get those gigs. Patrick is the author of many books, including his international bestseller, Creating Your Own Destiny, which has sold upwards of 1 million copies in 5 languages and 108 countries worldwide since 2001. So, Patrick, please take it away.
Well, thank you very much, Juliette. I see some people on here that I recognize. Glenn Alex, so good to see you. And of course, Tyler Tischler, your best editor in the Milky Way galaxy. So thrilled to have you on as well. And thank you for joining us. Julia, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for putting this together. So thrilled to be a part of this and support you and your amazing publishing business however I can.
The rest of you, thrilled to have you here. I'm going to go about 35 minutes, just kind of give you an overview of what I do, how it works, how it can all benefit you. And then, of course, I want to stay on as long as we can to answer as many questions that you have. So as I'm kind of moving forward here, feel free to jot down any questions that you have on anything that I share. A lot of what I share you might have heard before, maybe, called something different, but we're going to kind of just go from there and have fun with this today. So I'm going to just speak from the hip, tell you the whole story, and see what I can do to add value to your life. Zig Ziglar taught me as a very young man, he said, you can have everything in your life that you want as long as you help enough other people get what they want. So what I do as a writing coach, a publishing coach, a book marketing coach, a professional speaking coach is I ask my clients, what are your goals for your book? What are your goals for your speaking? What are your goals for your consulting? What are your goals? And then based on that, once I know what that is, then I can help you customize something that specifically kind of goes towards that. So I guess the first thing that I want to do today is give you a couple quotes, and then I want to talk about what is a book. So the first quote comes from Abraham Lincoln. He said, the only way the dead can teach the yet unborn is through the written page. Now think about that. The only way the dead can teach the yet unborn is through the written page. And then a second anonymous quote comes from...
Unknown source. Tyler could probably help me figure out who said this. But it says this, that there's only 2 things you can leave behind on this earth. One is your children, and the other is your art. And so think about your book as a masterpiece, as a piece of art, as a tool or as a resource to give away to your family, to your children, to your grandchildren. In 300 years from now, your great-great-great-grandchildren will be looking at your book and your message and think, look at what this person did. Look at what that person did. Look at how they set us all up. And so with that being the case, I look at a book as a lead generation tool. I look at the book as a platform from which we stand on. I look at the book as a physical website. I look at the book as the world's greatest marketing secret in the history of our business. There's so much noise out there on the internet today, and one of the biggest challenges that we have is how do we distinguish ourselves from everyone else? How do we get other people's attention? And I firmly believe that people don't believe advertisements. We see ads and infomercials and billboards all day long, and we're not stopping on the freeway, writing down phone numbers of billboards that we see. And as we're channel surfing, we're not like recording every single TV commercial so that we can call them up and go to their website. We're just not doing that because we're overwhelmed with that. But when someone sends you a signed copy of their book, you're probably just not going to toss that book to the side. You're going to hold that book on your bedstand, on your desk. You're going to look through that and spend some time doing that. And so I firmly believe that a book is the world's greatest marketing secret in the history of all business. So if we're going to do a book, I think we should do it right. So to me, I think a world-class book would be 250 to 350 pages. So 50,000 words to 70,000 words. And everybody says, nope, not going to read it. Nobody's going to read that book. It's too thick, too thick. Nobody's going to read a thick book. And I tell people all the time is, look, I don't care if you read my book. I just want me to book me as the keynote speaker. I don't care if you're going to read my book. I just want you to hire me as a coach. Use me as a consultant. So the problem that we've seen with Amazon, and I'm a big fan of the Amazon KDP, and that's one of the methods that we use for printing, but not all of them, is that for years and years and years, Amazon has not been able to print a hardcover book. And so what a lot of people have done is gone to the internet and they published a softcover book on Amazon KDP, and it kind of looks like this, and then the cover curls up and points to the sky. So this becomes the book that they use. And then you look at it and it's like, oh, it's only 72 pages. So really it's more of a booklet. And a booklet is not going to get you the $5, $10, $15, $20,000 keynote fee. So I believe you want the book to be the width of your thumb. And when your book is the width of your thumb, as a result of that book being the width of your thumb, then there's going to be marketing copy that will be able to be clearly read on here. This is my most recent book that I did, The Last Undefeated Season, with my coach that just passed. He coached me in football and baseball for 9 years. And again, look at the width of the book is the width of the thumb. And there's the comedian on our team, Pat Carmody. I put him on the cover because he was like the glue that held us together. So I always tell people all the time, the fatter the book equals the fatter the paycheck. And when you understand that it's about perceived value, because if you're a speaker, a coach, a consultant, and you send the meeting planner something like this with a cover curled up, they're going to assume that you're a $500 speaker. Or they're going to assume that you're a public speaker. And never use the phrase public speaker ever. Public speaker is the worst phrase in the world, because as a public speaker, you're going to get free breakfast and free lunch and free dinner and free pens and free food and free parking and all the freebies, but you're not going to get paid. So the words that you need to use are, I am a professional speaker. And professional speakers have books that are 250 to 300 pages. And you put this on the desk of the meeting planner and you plunk that down and they go, wow, I don't know if we can afford the speaker. And again, it's okay if they don't read the book. Remember, you don't care if they read your book or not. You care that they hire you as a speaker, coach, or consultant. And then once you get the gig booked, this is the most important question that you need to ask, other than your keynote speaking fee. The keynote speaking fee is one fee, but then there's also a question that you got to ask. And this question is like the most important question, and that is, do you have a gifting budget, or do you have an educational materials budget? And a lot of times the meeting planners will say, Patrick, I can't afford a $25,000 keynote speaking fee on your website. We've only got $10,000 on your budget. And my answer is, great. I'll offer you that on a prepaid discount. So instead of doing 50% down now and the other 50% due 2 weeks before the event, they might send me $10,000 11 months in advance. But the question is, what is your gifting budget? What is your educational materials budget? And I'm like, what are you talking about? My answer is, how would you like to include a copy of the printed book in everybody's registration conference bag, so when they show up to the conference, they're handed a bag with bumper stickers, hats, and t-shirts, and pens, and markers, and all these other little trinkets. And oh, by the way, there's a signed copy of your book in that amenity bag. And the meeting planner's like, oh my goodness, is that possible? Well, of course it's possible. So then they might pay you another $5,000, another $10,000 as a gifting budget, as an educational materials budget. And now as a result of that happening, now you might make $10,000 on the keynote fee, and you might make another $10,000 on the book. And that way you don't have to try to sell books in the back of the room, because everybody has that. And I'm going to say about 25% of the time they will do that. The other 75%, you have to ask for a back of the room marketing display table in case anybody wants to come pick up a copy of the book. So this is another reason why you don't want to do the 72-page booklet, and why you want to do the book that's thick enough, it's the width of the thumb. And then of course, always, always, always do hardcover. Softcover books can be destroyed in one cross-country vacation trip in a backpack. You go to and from Vegas for the weekend, you want something to read on the plane, you throw it in the backpack, by the time you get home from Vegas, the book is destroyed. It's fallen apart, the covers are bent. When you have a hardcover book, a hardcover book can last upwards of 50 to 100 years. And the perceived value of a hardcover book is that that's not a public speaker, that's a professional speaker. That's a high-end consultant. And now Amazon KDP, as of about 2 years ago, they're doing hardcover books. I can't believe this. This book right here, $9.11 on Amazon. It's 300 pages. $9.11 for me to buy this. And it's hardcover. But of course they don't do dust jackets. So typically what we do with our clients, we have two services that we provide. We do a high-end book, and on that high-end book, we use this technology called image wrap or litho wrap technology. So here's the dust jacket. You take the dust jacket off, and then the actual book dust jacket is printed on the board of the book. And so as a result of that, some people damage the dust jacket or they throw that away, but then they still have the book. And then we use the ultra bright white paper. So this is called litho wrap or image wrap technology. A lot of times we'll do a dull matte finish. And the reason why you want dull matte finish on the board is it doesn't hold fingerprints. And then we might do a shiny gloss on the dust jacket, so it looks nice and shiny. So a book is, as I mentioned before, the world's greatest marketing secret in the history of all business. It's a hook, it's a magnet, it's a physical website, and it's the single greatest sales resource that you can have to give to your prospects. So what I want to do is, I've been a professional speaker for over 30 years, and I want to share with you how I got my first $5,000 paid speaking gig. I was in Seattle, and maybe the first few years of my speaking career, I was driving to all my gigs. 2,500 here, 1,000 there, 500 there, driving. Then I found a speaking engagement in Florida, in Key Largo, Florida, for ASA Tire Software, and I really wanted that gig. So what I did is I took my book, and on the inside flap of the book, on the inside page, I said I'd be honored and thrilled to be considered as your speaker for your next event. If selected, I am confident that your audience will benefit and be pleased with the results. Dream Plan Execution Soar, Patrick Snow. Signed, and I sent it off to the meeting planner. And then I followed up, because the fortune is made in the follow-up. Napoleon Hill says on average it takes 7 bits of communication between buyer and seller for sale to transpire. Most sales professionals, according to Fortune magazine, give up on their sales prospects after 3 bits of communication. So I will drip on somebody once every 7 to 10 days until they hire me as a speaker. And then if they don't hire me, I'll start calling back next year. That kind of concept. So I called them up, and they said, yes, Patrick, we'd like to book you as our speaker. We can only pay you $5,000. And I was like thrilled. Like that was huge money back in 2000. And then 2001. And then they said, we're going to get you a round trip airline ticket. We're going to get you 2 nights hotel. And we're going to have, it was ASA Tire Software. They had about maybe 2,500 people in their audience. So I mailed the book. I went and did the engagement. I did what my mentor taught me. Show up early like a politician, wait at the door, shake everyone's hand, and then I went around to all the tables and I interviewed people at breakfast, and I said, I'm going to be your speaker, so please laugh at my jokes. And then they were laughing at the fact that I was asking them to laugh at my jokes, and they thought that was kind of fun. But I was doing that to break up the monotony. And so and then they told me this and they told me that and they told me all these things. And then of course my mentor taught me to always stay until the very last person in the room leaves, even if it's an hour and a half after, because many of your referrals will come in that hour, hour and a half after your speech, after everybody leaves. So I got a standing ovation. Most times in the speaking industry, you don't get standing ovation. Brian Tracy taught me a method as to how to do that, and now it works about 60 to 70% of the time. Doesn't work to postal service workers. I want you to know that. I tried it in San Antonio, Texas, to the Postal Services Conference, and none of them I couldn't get them to stand up. I couldn't get them to laugh at my jokes. But in this case, I did get a standing ovation. I went to the meeting planner afterwards, and I said, please enlighten me. And I didn't tell her this is my first get on a plane, fly across country, first $5,000 speech. I didn't want her to think that I was a rookie. But again, that was 26, 27 years ago. So I said, please tell me, there had to have been other speakers that you were interested in booking. Why is it that you booked me? And my life completely changed in that moment. She said, oh my goodness, Patrick, yes, we had 27 speakers from all over North America, 27. And every single one of us sent us an email and had an embedded highlight video in that email. And we watched about 10 of the videos, and they were all great speakers. But you, Mr. Snow, you were the only one of the 27 that actually mailed the signed copy of the book. And I was like, really? The only one? And she said, you write this big, long inscription. Sometimes in the past, we've gotten books with a Sharpie marker, and we can't even read the name, of the author. We like you to blue ink, a whole nice page. And I said, great. Well, what do you think of the book? And she started backtracking, oh my goodness. Well, just so you know, we had 7 of us on the speaker selection committee, and we were all so busy putting this conference together that not a single one of us actually read your book. Not a single one of us. But we liked the title. We liked the title, Creating Your Own Destiny. We thought this was a nice cover, a nice title. This caught our attention. We saw the cover of the book and the title of the book. We knew we had to book you. And my jaw just dropped. And my entire trajectory of my professional speaking, my professional coaching, my publishing, book marketing strategy completely changed that day. I went home to Seattle, Washington, where I lived in the early 2000s, and I changed everything. And over the next 20 years, I've sent out about 5,000 copies of my book, estimated as free books over the course of the last 26 years to bloggers, podcasters, journalists, radio, TV, newspaper, magazine, meeting planners, coaching prospects, consulting prospects. Everybody says, Patrick, I want to do what you did. I want to sell upwards of 1 million books. How did you do it? 5 languages, 108 countries. I said, I just went to the post office every single day for 20 some odd years. And I gave away 1 or 2 or 3 books every single day. So if you're willing to do that, you're going to get the book sales. And most people aren't willing to do that. So through that experience, what I learned is the #1 book marketing strategy is to strategically give your books away to the people that can hire you for speaking, coaching, consulting. If you're driving down the street and you see a homeless person, give them a bottle of water. Get a granola bar, give them food, but don't give them a book, right? You only want to give books to the people with big mouths, bloggers, podcasters, meeting planners, people with big sphere of influences. Allow your book to be like Halloween candy on October 31st. These kids come to your door, they want the big candy bar. They come to my door because I buy the big candy bars from Costco. Don't give them the little candy bars. They don't want that. They want the big candy bars. Your book is the big candy bar. And you're going to give that away to every single prospect that you can find strategically for the rest of your life. And then you're going to follow up because the fortune's made in the follow-up. That's what you're going to do. So once you understand that concept that your book is not your product, your book is your marketing plan, your book is your advertising campaign, your book is the hook to attract people to your message, then amazing things will happen. And then your speaking, coaching, consulting business will just go gangbusters. And by the way, a lot of times you don't make a lot of money in the book. I sold 40,000 copies of my book to Amway. In the first 30 days, the book came off the press because they had a book of the month program. 40,000. And I made $6,000. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's like almost nothing. It's 25 cents a book. And then I sold 15,000 to another networking company, and another 20,000 to another company. And then I did a bunch of foreign language rights deals. I sold the English language rights in Africa, the English language rights in Southeast Asia, in India, the Russian language rights, the Arabic language rights, a couple others, Indonesian, England, and a lot of these companies are called sandbaggers. And what I mean by that is they sell books all over the world, and then they sandbag and don't tell you the truth. I actually sold my rights to a major New York publisher. And because we're being recorded, I'm not going to mention the name of that company, but if you text me, I'll tell you the name later. And they promised me radio and TV and newspaper and magazine. They promised me everything under the sun. And they sent me royalty statements for a year, all with zeros. And then I kept looking at all these testimonials that came in via email, and I asked them, did you buy the New York the New York published version or the self-published? Oh, I bought the New York published version. And then I realized that even in this country, the biggest publishers in the world sandbag and lie because they don't want to let you know how many books they sold. And certainly I'm not going to spend $250,000 suing my publisher because they're not paying me a royalty. I haven't seen a royalty statement from them in 12 years. And I sold the deal to them 13 years ago. So that takes us to a couple other things. We're going to talk about your 3 publishing options in a minute. But before I do that, everybody's like, okay, Patrick, I want to be a bestseller. And my whole system is called Becoming a Best-Selling Author.com. That's the whole program, Becoming a Best-Selling Author.com. I work with Julia Clark, and she does some amazing things on the technology side that I don't do. And so we're a very, very good fit. So to me, if you're going to write and publish a book, let's be a bestseller. So everybody says, how do you do it? Number 1, 5 ways to become a bestseller. 5 things you got to do. Number 1, you need to speak on your book. When you speak, business happens because your voice is your moneymaker. So speak as a podcast guest. Do teleseminars. Do Facebook Lives. Speak on other people's conferences and other people's podcasts. I can tell you, I've done maybe 500 or 1,000 of these Tuesday night free masterclass teleseminar. And then I promote it all over social media. And I think there's been about 6 or 7 times nobody joined into the call. Nobody. So I'm on the call at 7 o'clock. And I hear the free conference call music just chiming along. 7:05, nobody dials in. 7:10, nobody dials. 7:15, by 7:20, I hang up. And I feel like I'm a miserable failure because I had 0 people on my call. And then the next day I get 2 or 3 messages. Oh, Patrick, I'm so sorry I missed it. So sorry. I had my kid's baseball game. I had my daughter's Girl Scout meeting. Is it too late? Can I still work with you? And by the way, how was your teleseminar last night? My answer is, it was spectacular. You missed it, right? I don't need to tattletale on myself and let the world know that nobody joined in. But the point of it is, when you hold these master classes and these teleseminars, you do all the social media marketing for that, and anybody that doesn't attend, they're all going to assume they had 100 attendees. So you do the teleseminars for the perception on social media that you have all these people showing up. And I've had lots of times where 15, 18, 20, 30 people join in. But a lot of times, nobody shows up. So when you speak, business happens. What I teach my clients is every single Tuesday night, for the rest of your life, I want you to do a masterclass, free teleseminar on Facebook Live or on free conference call or on a Zoom every Tuesday night, 7 to 8:30, the rest of your life. Every Thursday night, I want you to go to a coffee shop, a community center, a bookstore, somewhere where you get a small meeting room for free. And the restaurant will give you their back of the room meeting place for free when you bring in 15, 18 people and they all buy food from the restaurant or the coffee shop and you get the free room. So do a little circle, a little 1-hour speech with a Q&A. And of course, everybody gets to introduce themselves for a minute and everybody gets to promote their business for a minute. And that's why they show up for the networking. So you do that every Tuesday night for the rest of your life, every Thursday night for the rest of your life, and watch your book sales explode. And the problem is that everybody thinks, well, Oprah Winfrey didn't call. Dr. Phil didn't call. I did my 90-day book marketing campaign, and the podcasters aren't calling. Well, I got news for you. The news is that a book marketing campaign needs to be a rest of your life book marketing campaign for 15 to 20 minutes every single weekday, Monday through Friday. You wake up, who can I give a book away today? Who can I send a book away today? How can I spend my 15 or 20 minutes every single weekday, Monday through Friday, getting my message out there? And oh, by the way, I want you to take your book and create a PDF/ebook, not a real ebook. And of course you can do that too, but have your designer take the cover of your book, make that be PDF page number 1, the back cover of the book be PDF page, the last page of your book, and then email that book out. I'm trying to give away 1 million copies of my Creating Your Own Destiny ebook. And people say, why would you do that? If I can successfully give away 1 million PDF files by email for free, maybe 10% of those people will actually read it. So now you got 100,000 people that read the email that I sent. And then of those 10%, maybe 10% more say, you know what? I like this book so much that I want to add it to my library collection. So you send out 1 million in your lifetime, and you get 100,000 that read it, and then you get 10,000. That's 1% of 1 million. 10%, 10,000 people read it at $30 a piece. You just made $300,000 by giving away your ebook. And people say, what if somebody starts printing your book in China? What if somebody does that? I'm like, oh, that would be fantastic. I so want somebody to pirate my book. I so want them to blast it all over Asia, all over the world. That would be wonderful, right? So a lot of people, they get their book and they hoard the book, and they hoard them. You need to understand that you got to take your inventory of books, put them into 2 piles. If you get 500 books, 50% of your books, 250 is your giveaway pile. The other 50% is in your sell pile. So you give away the 250 books strategically to the right people, that will sell the other 250. You order another 500 books, give away 250, that sells the other 500. So 5 ways to become a best-selling author. Number 1 is to speak. When you speak, business happens. Number 2, you need to have a world-class book cover. A world-class book cover. And if you look at the leadership gurus of the world, they do circles, rectangles, triangles, and squares. And I think those books are boring, 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 boring. Circles, rectangles, triangles, and squares. And I love John Maxwell, and I love Zig Ziglar, and I love Brian Tracy. They're all my favorite mentors from the world, and I met most of them years and years ago. I love them. But most of the leadership books are circles, rectangles, triangles, and squares. I call them graphics books. And that doesn't really appeal to anybody. What I like are books with a real image on the actual book. This guy fell into an ice moat in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And you can see right about right there in that saddle, that's where he fell. This is an image cover. This guy's the #1 ukulele artist in the world, Derek Sebastian. He tried to create the Endless Summer 1950s Hawaii image with the palm trees. This is an image cover. These are my children's footprints in the sand of Oahu from 30 years ago. They're now 35 and 32, but when they were kids, I took their photos. I took this picture myself, image cover. This is from 1981, our junior high football team, the St. Paul Blue Waves. And I'm right here, this little guy here, and I tell my clients, never put your photo on the cover of a book. But in this case, it's all about the images, not circles, triangles, rectangles, and squares. This guy's got a shooting star. He's written a spirituality book, a shooting star on the cover. So make your cover pop. And a lot of people say, well, I'm going to save money. I'm going to do my own cover. Well, I'm going to go to Amazon or have AI do my cover. The AI covers are the worst looking covers I've ever seen in my entire life. Don't waste your time. If you want to do a couple mock-ups with AI and then send that to a professional, you can do that. So there's lots of ways you can cut corners on your book, but I will tell you that cover design is not one of them. You want a world-class cover design because people will have 3 to 5 seconds where they look at your cover, they decide yay or nay. It's that quick. So number 2 is to have a world-class cover design. Number 3 way to have a best-selling author, to become a best-selling author, is you need to have a compelling title in which you own the .com of your book title. If you don't own the .com of your book title, you're wasting your time. I purchased Creating Your Own Destiny about 30 years ago. Since then, there are now, I think, 2 or 3 other people in the world that have written a book titled Creating Your Own Destiny. And everybody asks me, are you going to sue them? Are you going to send them a cease and desist letter? Are you upset? My answer is no, I'm thrilled. Why are you thrilled that somebody else has written your book cover? My answer is because I own the .com. I own the brand. So they're going to spend the rest of their life promoting their book. And in doing so, they're actually working for me because now they're promoting my website. So we all know that we copyright the content of the book, but we cannot copyright the title of the book. So all of us on this phone call today, we could go out and write a book titled Chicken Soup for the Soul. And of course, we'd have Tyler edit it because he's the best editor in the world, right? But even though we wrote the book Chicken Soup for the Soul, we'd be wasting our time because we're promoting Mark and Jack's work. You see how that works? So the number 3 thing is you must own the .com of your book title, not the .biz, not the .org, not the .this or the .that. And that's why these one word book titles don't work anymore because most of those .coms are taken. Next, there's 3 award-winning book title formulas. I spent over $3,000 30 to 35 years ago learning the 3 award-winning book title formulas. And we don't have time to give you all 3, so I'm just going to give you the number 1 best book writing formula. Is that okay? Can we do that for the book title? I'll just give you the number 1. It is the ing action verb. And the ing action verb, or gerund title, is you take a verb, add an ing to it to make it an action verb, such as creating your own destiny, such as daydreaming with purpose, such as staying on guard. Let me just see. Here's another one, a client in Christchurch, New Zealand. This one's kind of fun. His book is titled Avoiding Propeller Blades. And propeller blades are alcoholism, pornography, gambling, unfaithfulness to your spouse. Those are all the propeller blades that if you don't get careful, you can get your nose chopped off. He's kind of a comedian. But I love this title, Avoiding Propeller Blades. That's probably a good advice. We should probably do that. So, if you're looking for a great book title, see if you can get the ing action verb. And oh, by the way, that title is so powerful. And by the way, the number 1 book title using the ing that I've ever worked with about 20 years ago, by a woman by the name of Chris Bleddy out of Los Angeles. She wrote a book, and I'm going to tell you the title of the book. And when I tell you the title of the book, I want you to ask yourself, can you figure out what the book is about? Are you guys ready? This is a test. I'm going to give you the title, and you got to figure out what it is. The book is titled Beating Ovarian Cancer. Now, I want you to raise your hands if you know what that book is about, right? This is what's powerful about the ing rule, creating your own destiny. Can you figure out what that book is about? The point of it is, I love the ing action verb gerund title formulas as the number 1 title formula in the world, but you got to own the .com. And guess what? This title formula is so powerful that every one of your chapters should also begin with an ing action verb. So instead of having a chapter that says, don't give up, because when you say don't give up, you're preaching and you're teaching and nobody wants to be talked down to. So if you had a chapter title that says refusing to give up, believing in yourself, paying yourself first, balancing family and work, investing in your children, overcoming adversity, beating your addiction, every one of the chapters in your book should be an ing action verb. And that makes the book a journey, a process. You know what? I want to follow Peter. I want to follow Mitch, Dorothy, Cheryl, Terry, Sandra, Glenn. I want to follow them because this is a journey. And they're not barking out commands and demands of what I need to do in life. They're welcoming me on a journey with these ing action verbs. So that's the number 3 thing to becoming a best-selling author. Number 4 is you need to have good writing with good editing. And we're blessed to have Dr. Tyler Tischler, and I'll sing his praises. He and I have been running together for about 18 years now, maybe 20 years. He is the number 1 editor in the world that does a deep, thorough copy edit and content edit, helps you write the inside flap copy, writes a 2-page book review, blasts it all over the internet. I've never found anybody on this in our world that provides the value that he does. has a PhD in literature, a master's in creative writing, undergraduate in English, former college professor, novelist of 20 plus books himself. I mean, that's what you want. So make certain that your book is professionally edited. And everybody says, I'm just going to go to ChatGPT. I'm going to just go to AI and have them edit the book. But now, I don't know if you know this, but when you upload your book to Amazon, Amazon asks you if your book is AI. And if your answer is yes, they won't accept it. Because there were people within the last several months trying to upload 300 and 400 books a month on Amazon. And Amazon put an end to it. Like, no more AI books. There's no way that any person can write 400 books in a month, the old school way. There are resources out there that you can use, but you still need a very good copy editor and content editor to do that. And certainly Tyler is that person. Okay, and then the fourth thing is that you need to have a good story. You need to have a good narrative, a good book. And if you do all of those things, you're going to be a best-selling author. Okay, so I want to share quickly 3 options for publishing. 3 options. Option number 1 is the traditional New York route. I was rejected for 16 years before this major New York publisher did a 2-book deal with me. 16 years. And then they finally bought the rights, and they promised radio, TV, newspaper, magazine. And I can't even sell my own books and the book and my speaking engagements anymore. And everything they promised me, they lied and failed on all of them. And this is the number 1 publisher in the world. Biggest mistake of my life. Number 2 option is I call it hybrid internet publishing route. If you just type in publishing in the internet, the first 1,000 companies that pop up, most all of them are not maybe the best way to go. And the reason is they might charge you $25 to print the book, and then they turn around and print your book at $10 a piece. So there's that markup in between. But if they can provide value, and there's some great companies out there that provide massive, massive value, then that could be a really good option for you. And the massive value that I'm talking about is technology, placement, SEO, all kinds of things. So I would say that you want to partner with the correct internet hybrid company if you're going to go that route. Because a lot of companies, they don't offer that value. And then the third option is self-publishing, where you do everything yourself. But then there's limitations of that, where you don't get the technology at the end. You don't get the search engine optimization. Maybe you don't know what you're doing. And self-publishing is you pay whatever the printers are paying. So each of them have their options. As a publishing coach, I've benefited by having my publisher with a New York publisher. I know lots of people have a lot of success with the internet publishing route because their internet publisher is way better than the New York publishers, and they actually do things with the book. So that can be a really good option for you. And then option 3 is self-publishing, but option 3 is you got to be good at doing a lot of the things that maybe you're not good at. And so you have to work with the right people to decide which are the best. Everybody's dream is to go the New York route. But the problem is with that is now that I've seen the last 3 or 4 publishing deals that have come out of New York, they are offering to take on the book for free, and they pay 0 royalties, and then you got to pay, literally out of pocket, you got to buy $100,000 worth of your books at $10 a piece. So in the contract it says you're buying 10,000 books at $10 a piece. So you're paying $100,000. And the whole point of it is, it's like, who's got $100,000 to buy your own books? So those are your 3 publishing options. And then the last route would be maybe, I guess, Amazon. And Amazon, is important to know, is not a printer. Amazon KDP is a print broker. And as a print broker, they submit their books to different printers that print. And I'm going to say half of my books that I get from them are pretty good. The other half, they're still warped or bent or damaged or whatever else, and I can't get a live person to save my life. I spent an hour one time trying to get a phone number to Amazon, and I finally found a phone number, and then I took like hours to get a real person on the phone. So just know that there are times when New York publishing route is the best way to go. There are times when internet publishing is the best way to go. There are times when self-publishing is the best way to go. The biggest thing that I want to share with you today, if you're like me and you lack technology skills, then you need to partner with somebody who knows what they're doing. And that's why Juliet Clark in Superbrand Publishing is such a great option for all of you, because of the fact that she is among the most advanced technology whiz-bang person that I know. And she's going to do things with your book that you can't. So you need somebody like her on your side. So you want to make certain that whomever you're partnering with, that they know what they're doing. And certainly Juliet is world-class in that area. Okay, a couple things before we finish up. Everybody wants to do this bestseller campaign. And this is an Amazon bestseller. This book right here, I think I've sold about 75 books. And I am an Amazon bestseller. But I think I'm like the 37,000th Amazon bestseller. But I'm not going to tell people that I'm the 37,000 Amazon bestseller. So you have New York Times bestseller. You have every newspaper has a bestseller. All these newspapers have bestsellers. There's a lot of companies out there that will charge $10 or $15 or $20,000 to have you be an Amazon bestseller. And the whole shtick is that they have you give away your ebook on a certain day, and then you push your 50 best friends to go to Amazon to get your free ebook on that certain day, and that company will charge you $10,000 to do that. And so I always ask them, are you a bestseller or are you a best giver? And the reason why I ask, are you a best giver, is because I actually was given the book on the day that you did. So did you sell it or did you give it? So there's a little bit misleading there. I had a client once who said that he was #1 in England. He was the #1 bestseller in England. And so I just played devil's advocate, and I said, was it the printed book or the ebook? He said it was the ebook. I said, did you sell them or did you give them away? Oh, I gave them away. And I said, how many did you do? And he said, well, I can't tell you these numbers. And I said, you're all over social media telling everybody that you're the #1 bestseller in all of the United Kingdom. I said, that's misleading. What I'm saying all of this for is the Amazon bestseller status doesn't really mean anything anymore, because everybody is an Amazon bestseller. Even if you're like me and this book just came off the press a few months ago and I sold 72 copies, maybe I'm at 84, I haven't even checked. The point of it is, who cares about Amazon bestseller? Nobody cares. Everybody wants to be a New York Times bestseller. And so here's how you do that. You must be a top 20 seller in Amazon, in your genre, in any one given week. And so let's say, I'm going to pick on Glenn, because Glenn and I go back a few years. Let's say Glenn writes a book on mindfulness and positive mental attitude, mindfulness, or whatever else. And let's say she sells 7,000 books in one given week on Amazon in the genre of mindfulness. Let's just say health and wellness. That's better. Health, wellness, nutrition. She sells 7,000 books in a week on Amazon. I have a book on entrepreneurship, and let's say I sell 70,000 copies of my book on Amazon. I might be the number 21 Amazon bestseller that week, having sold 70,000 books. She might be number 20 at 7,000. So she's reported to the New York Times, only sold 7,000 books in a week, and now she's a number 20 New York Times bestseller. And because she's a brilliant marketer, she's going to remove the number 20 label off. And so now she's just a New York Times bestseller. And I sold 10 times more books than she did, 70,000. I finished number 21 on the list, so I'm not a New York Times bestseller. My point of it is, it's very, very, very difficult to do. You don't know who else is buying and selling their books the same week that you are. And even if you become a New York Times bestseller, I've had New York Times bestsellers say, I'm not getting paid. They're doing the sandbagging, not getting paid my royalties. I can't pay my mortgage payments. I can't pay this. I can't do this. I can't do that. And I'm a New York Times bestseller. So my point of it is, remember that look at your book as nothing more than a lead generation tool to give to your clients, and know that the big money is made in the speaking, the coaching, and the consulting. That's where the big money's made. The little monies are made in book sales. So yeah, you can make 25 grand a year, 50 grand a year in book sales, but probably not going to be able to provide a living to your family only doing $25,000 a year in book sales. So you want to gift the book so that you can ultimately position yourself to succeed in this space. So I have some resources that I want to share with you, that I want to give away. I'm also going to finish up with this quote from Stephen Pressfield in a few minutes, and then we're going to do a Q&A. So if any of this has benefited you today, here's what I'm going to give you, and you can basically send me a text, and on your text, send me your email. My cell phone number is 206 310 1200. Again, that's 206 310 1200. And this is my freebies that I'm giving away. Number one, I'm going to give you away 21 mistakes to avoid when publishing and promoting your book. 21 mistakes to avoid when writing, publishing, promoting your book. Number two, 12 tips to triple your coaching income. I teach the business, the process, the conversion of coaching. So 12 tips to triple your coaching income. Number three, I'm going to give away 5 ways to become a best-selling author, special report to become a best-selling author. Number four, I'm going to gift you my book, Creating Your Own Destiny. And the last thing that I'm going to give away is, if you guys are interested, ask me on that if you're interested. I would be thrilled and honored to offer you a complimentary 30 to 60 minute writing, publishing, book marketing, professional speaking, coaching, or consulting consultation. Anything in this information empire industry, I work with and do that. So any area that you need help, if your book is already done, I will give you a book marketing consultation. If you're in the writing process, I'll give you a writing consultation. If your book's been out for 5 or 10 years and you want to do speaking and coaching, we'll do that. I do a lot of fix and flips. My clients send me their 100-page book, poor cover, poor title, and just like real estate investors, they might buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, put on a new front door. They might do some landscaping, get rid of the shag carpet and the wood paneling, brighten it up with some hardwood floors, and then they sell the house. So a lot of times my clients send me their book, and within 3 or 4 months, we'll republish the book. Maybe same title, maybe new title. We probably will go to hardcover, maybe a better cover design. We'll add a chapter on leadership in the book and a chapter on change or empowerment, transformation. And the reason why the #1 most book speaking topic on planet Earth is leadership or self-leadership. If you want to be a speaker, you need to have a chapter in your book on leadership or self-leadership. You want to be a coach? The #1 coaching topic on planet Earth is empowerment, transformation, or change. Empowerment, transformation, or change. So you need to have that chapter in your book. So a lot of times they send me the book, we do new title, new cover, and we add the empowerment chapter, we add the leadership chapter. In the back of the book, you should have a page that says about the author, and then about Peter Boland coaching, and then about Glenn Alex consulting, and then about Sandra Doyle workshops or retreats. So you need to have these back page inserts in the book that tell the reader what you do. I can't even tell you how many times people have sent me their books. Like, I can't get a speaking engagement to save my life. What did I do wrong? And then they send me their book and I read their bio. And it doesn't even mention they're a professional speaker. And then the most important page in the book should say book Terry Modica. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Book Terry Modica to speak at your next event. That's the most important page. And so we do a lot of fix and flips on books. So I would be honored and thrilled to gift any of you a complimentary 30 to 60 minute writing, publishing, book marketing, speaking, coaching, consultation by phone, by FaceTime, by Zoom. Send me a text on my private cell phone number, 206 310 1200, 206 310 1200. And let me know that you want the freebies. So in your text, let me know your email address so I can get you the 21 mistakes to writing and publishing your book, 12 tips to triple your coaching income, 5 ways to become a best-selling author, and then the Creating Your Own Destiny free book that I'm going to give you. And then if you want the consultation as well, let me know that you'd like a session with me, and then I'll schedule that and we'll make that happen. So, and then if you want to learn more about my system, my whole coaching is becomingabestsellingauthor.com. Again, becomingabestsellingauthor.com. And then I want to finish with this quote about publishing. This comes from Stephen Pressfield, author of The War of Art. And Stephen Pressfield says this: are you a born writer, an author, a speaker, a coach? Were you put on this earth to be a painter, a scientist, or an apostle of peace? In the end, the question can only be answered by by action. Either do it or not. Write the book or don't. It may help to think of it this way. If you were meant to cure cancer, write a symphony or crack cold fusion. If you don't do it, you not only hurt yourself, you even destroy yourself. You hurt your children, you hurt me, you hurt the planet. You shame the angels that watch over you. You shame the Almighty God who created you. Only with your unique gifts and for the sole purpose of nudging the human race 1 millimeter further back along his path back to God. See, creative work, such as writing a book, is not a selfish act or a bid for attention on the part of the actor. It's a gift to the world and every being inside of it. So don't cheat us of your contribution. Give us what you got. Publish your book today. Stephen Pressfield, author of The War of Art. So in conclusion, I challenge you to dream, plan, execute, and soar. I challenge you, if not you, then who? If not this, then what? If not now, then when? If not here, then where? I challenge you, as you look at your book, to think it, ink it, believe it, achieve it. Think about your storyline, your narrative. Ink it into your computer. Believe in yourself, and you too can become a best-selling author. But you need to spend the rest of your life 15 minutes every single day strategically giving away your books to the right people. And when you do that, great things will happen. By the way, the number one book marketing strategy in the world today is to give your book away to podcasters. And then by giving your book away to podcasters, try to position yourself to be a podcast guest every single day, once a day, Monday through Friday. And sometimes you're only going to have 7 people listening. Other times you're going to have 70. And some are going to have 70,000 people listening. Imagine you being a podcast guest in front of 70,000 people. And then 480 people go to your website and buy your book. That's the power of podcasters. So get your book in their hands and market yourself as a guest. And you can certainly do your own podcast, but then you got to spend 10 or 15 years building your audience. It's a whole lot easier to do others. So again, my name is Patrick Snow. Thank you very much for your time. I know I went a little bit long. I'm sorry about that, Juliet. But yeah, I'm here for a Q&A, and it's only like 5:55 a.m. here in Maui, Hawaii, and I don't have my next call for like 3 hours, so we can do Q&A as long as you want. So Juliet, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Pat. I want to add some comments to what he just said. Amazon has changed its algorithms, and next month's podcast, what I mean is the month of May, because this is going to be out 4/28, are all about how you can maximize those algorithms. That bestseller campaign he was talking about, the new algorithms do not honor those spikes. They want to see steady sales. So what they're looking at is it's all algorithmic now. How many times are people looking at your book? How many people are buying? They don't want to see those spikes anymore. The other part of that is they changed them to reward content creators. They've had so much cheating over the years, and you can't fake being a content creator. You either are or you aren't. So it's not only about podcast guesting, but getting your own podcast started. They can see every link that drives traffic into your book. So if they're coming from creators like a podcast guesting, it's a plus. So have a LinkedIn newsletter, have a Substack, have a podcast of your own. Do things that show them you're a creator. One of the big things they're also looking at that signals you're a creator, go fill out your A+ content, because that is another avenue that they can see more about you and your book. So I haven't sold, we've done some things with some of our authors who want to get contracts where we put in steady buys, but I haven't done a bestseller campaign since probably September of last year, because we knew that this was happening. And you, like Pat said, you're giving your book away. You're not becoming a bestseller. You're becoming a best giver in that sense. So if you don't have those things set up, talk to us about it. I know Pat jumped in when I was telling Sandra about what she needs to do, because she just started one. But make sure you're a content creator. For years, authors have skipped the step of building your author platform. They're forcing you to build it now with these new algorithms. So be sure and do that. Do you guys have questions for Pat before we go?
Yeah, I do. I have one.
Go ahead, Sandra.
Explain a little bit more about owning this .com for your book.
Okay, so about 30 years ago, I tried to purchase creatingyourdestiny.com. and I couldn't get creatingyourdestiny.com because somebody else owned it. And so because I couldn't buy the .com of Creating Your Destiny, I was creative and I searched for Creating Your Own Destiny. And that .com was available. So then once I purchased the .com of Creating Your Own Destiny.com, then that's what I titled my book. So a lot of times people have books that they own the book, or they've copywritten the book, but they don't actually own the actual domain. And so in that case, as a coach, I would coach you to, in your next printing or your next edition of the book, stop promoting somebody else's website and start promoting your own website. And that might mean that you need to change the title of your book from what it was currently to what it needs to be in the future. And people change their titles all the time. Zig Ziglar's first book was titled Fleas, Chicken Biscuits, and Pump Handles. That's what Zig Ziglar's first book was titled. From Yazoo City, Mississippi, Fleas, Chicken Biscuits, and Pump Handles. And he and the redhead was his wife. It was a miserable failure. So he spent a whole year selling that book all over all of the speaking engagements. Could hardly sell anybody because nobody wanted to pick up a book and own a book titled Fleas, Chicken Biscuits, and maybe it was Fleas, Biscuits, and Pump Handles. I think that's what it was. So after the book was in print, he updated the book into a second edition, and he retitled the exact same book, See You at the Top. And that book went on, See You at the Top, to sell tens of millions of copies. So if you own the .com of your book right now, you're in great shape. If you don't own the .com of your book right now, when you go to reprint the book in its next printing, I think it'd be strongly a good idea to either try to go to whomever owns that title, buy that from them, because a lot of squatters, they might sell you your book title for $500, $1,000, maybe $2,500. But if somebody has a whole company already built using your title, they're not going to sell it. So then all you need to do is revise your title, just like Zig Ziglar did. Find a title on GoDaddy or Register or wherever you buy your domains that you can buy and own, and then take that as your platform that you're going to market and promote the rest of your life. Does that answer your question, Sandra?
Yes. So can you change your title and have the same content?
That's what everybody does, so you can do that. And I will tell you that the book purists of the world will tell you every single year that you re-release the book in a second edition, third edition, fourth edition, fifth edition. Every year that you re-release that, you need to get a new ISBN number. Well, I never did. I use the same ISBN for every single year, and I never got in trouble for it. So you can see this is the first edition of Creating Your Own Destiny. This is like a second or third edition of Creating Your Own Destiny. This is like a 10th edition of Creating Your Own Destiny. And then I sold the book to a publisher in New York, and they butchered it. They put the ugly, puke green, yellow mustard. They even put the Illuminati sign on here. Just absolutely infuriated me. So on my next book that I did with them, I fought to get the cover that I wanted. So this was the 2-book deal that I did with a New York publisher. This was what their design group did, which is horrid, putrid, and this is what I did. So just know that here you can clearly see over 11 years, there's 4 different covers and subtitles have changed on this. So your book is a tree. It never stops growing, and you nourish it and fertilize it and water it every year the rest of your life. And when you do that, great things happen.
Great. Thank you so much. That answered 2 or 3 questions for me. Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you.